Welcome to the Fantasy Battle, a special episode of the show where we take two fantasy players, look at them head to head, and tell you who is the ultimate winner in terms of rest of season value. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Afernee Simons and Amir Coffey. This one's going to be particularly special because I did a video about 5-6 weeks ago where one could say that I missed on Simons. I evaluated his game, what his rest of season outlook was, and I was relatively low on it. I pointed to his lack of what I felt like was a left hand, his field goal percentage, and I said I did not think he was must own. Then, shotgun to the face, something happens to the lungs. The lungs collapse on CJ McCollum after I released that video. We all know Dame went down for surgery. Norm gets hurt. Larry Nance gets hurt. And suddenly, there's only one Kemosabe left, and that's Simons. And this guy has been putting up monster numbers. But no slob himself. Amir Coffey is coming on strong and black. That's how I like my coffee. Actually, it might be mixed. He's pretty light-skinned. But the analogy stands. This dude is a cappuccino. He's putting up stats, okay? First, let's talk about Simons. How good has this guy been? Over the last 30 days, he's the 57th best player before we factor in Sunday's night, the night that I'm recording this, okay? This dude has been putting up 19.9 points per game, basically 20 points per game, on 45% shooting, giving you, and this is unsustainable, okay? There's one number here that is more unsustainable than everything else. He is putting up 3.4 threes. 3.4 threes. You want to know what prime Klay Thompson 2.5 years ago on the Golden State Warriors with probably one of the best passing offenses of all times. He put up 3.2 threes per game. I do not believe that 3.4 threes is a sustainable number. It requires an absurd amount of shots. He's shooting 17, 18, 19 shots per game because, again, Portland has nobody to do it. And I'll point this out, and we'll get into it a little bit later in the video. Portland has every reason to tank. So Simons is going to get his looks this year, okay? I don't want to be the guy that has a bad take. In this case, Simons isn't good. Clearly, he's better than I thought he was. And I don't want to double down on that take. So I'm going to fully say, old Josh of 6 weeks ago was wrong, but we make changes here, okay? Simons is going to be a heavy scorer for the rest of the season. Unless Dame Lillard comes back and supplants him, which looks incredibly unlikely, Simons is going to be, at worst, a top 3 option on this team. I think CJ McCollum, whenever he plays, is probably going to be more frequently looked at, and I think for a lot of reasons they have to go to Nurk if they're trying to win. Nurk plays a better brand of winning basketball than I think Simons does. But you're still looking at a third option, and aside from that, in terms of shot attempts, his usage is going to be through the charts. So these numbers are incredible. 57th over the last 30, but he's actually like 21st if you break that down to the last 2 weeks. Give me a second to pull it up. There he is. He's the 6th best player over the last 2 weeks. He missed a bunch of games, so those numbers are a little skewed, but he's averaging 4.5 made threes per game over the last week. 5.3 over the last 2 weeks. Just ridiculous numbers. Now, he missed some games because his grandmother died. R.I.P. his grandmother. Let's talk about Amir Coffey, the cappuccino. 76th best player over the last 14. You guys might be thinking, Josh, why did you pick these two characters, these two players? This is obviously Simons. Not so fast. Not so fast. Okay, let me go in for the close-up here. Not so fast. The Clippers are potentially doing a stealth rebuild. We don't know for sure that Paul George is coming back. And in the meantime, over the last week and a half, Amir Coffey has been getting more minutes than the Minuteman Lemonade Company. That one was really weak. I apologize for that in advance. You know what? Boo me. Put a boo in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content of the channel. Amir Coffey has been putting up over the last 14 days 12.6 points per game, 3.1 assists, 1 steal, 2.1 3-pointers per game, and he's been doing it on 50% field goals. Guys, here's why I picked Amir Coffey to go up against everyone's favorite superstar, Simons. We have not seen the best game of Coffey. most likely, and in fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up right now. Most likely, we've already seen the best game that we're going to see out of Simons, and it's right here. It was on 1-3 a couple weeks ago versus the Atlanta Hawks, and I dug into the numbers on this. He scored 43 points, which was incredible, but he's scoring 43 points against Trae Young, probably one of the worst defenders in the league. Kevin Huerter, at best, white boy is an average defender. Okay? And then another player that I had to look up his name. Pull it up over here. Skylar Mays. Okay? He's a second rounder who hasn't been fantasy relevant in ever. He's just not a very good defender. And Simons has an amazing game. You see him hitting threes. You see him pulling up. You see him actually hitting the cutter with some good passes. But is this going to happen? Look at how much space he has when he pulls up for that three. More teams are going to guard him with better. Look, Cam Reddish was not in this game. Okay? Hunter was not in this game. For most of the game, DeLon Wright wasn't guarding him. Okay? So, there are going to be teams that have better defenders. I think 43 points is the high watermark for Simons. However, I don't think we've seen the high point for Amir Coffey. I'm going to play this highlights from Denver a couple nights ago. Coffey is 6'7", okay? He is probably the prototypical tweener, and the Clippers love tweeners. They love guys that can guard multiple positions, that can play make, that can hit an open shot, and Coffey does not have a weakness. He's a good catch-and-shoot player. He's good off the dribble. He's a good playmaker. He has an incredible assist-to-turnover ratio. He's actually pretty good on the boards. I think, as we've already seen as we check the numbers here, Coffey has been the 76th player over the last 14. I think that's his floor rest of season. So as we continue to look at highlights here, we're looking at a player who probably will not get worse than 75th. That's his absolute floor. Could be a top 50 player rest of season. I know that's bold, but if Paul George doesn't come back, you're hearing it here first. Amir Coffey, top 50 player rest of season. So that brings us back to Simons, and we're going, what's his floor, right? So the best game of the season, 43-3-7 for Simons. The best game of the season, 18-5-7, half the points for Coffey. So in terms of ceiling, upper ceiling, max ceiling, we got to go with Simons. But in terms of floor, absolute bottom floor, Simons is going to have bad games where he doesn't score a lot, and his field goal percentage is so bad that unless you're in punt field goal, he's lost you that category for the week. He's also going to have high turnover games. I don't think Coffey's ever really going to have a quote-unquote bad game. I don't think he's going to have the freedom to miss 12 shots. I don't think he'll get 6 turnovers in a game. So his floor is you're always going to get 5 rebounds if you're playing 36 minutes per game. You're always going to get a steal or 2 if you're playing 36 minutes per game, and you look like Coffey does. But you know what? We've gone back and forth. Scoring edge goes to Simon. Assist game, slight edge, Simon. Defensive end, stocks, steals, blocks, goes to Coffey. Rebounds, goes to Coffey. Turnovers, goes to Coffey. Threes, by unsustainable margin, goes to Simons. Man, these categories all over the place. Who am I going to pick? Who is the winner? You're getting bored. You're skipping ahead in the video. Boom. Simons is the winner. I am a man who admits when he was wrong, and I was wrong about Simons. This guy has top 40 potential rest of season, maybe even top 30 potential rest of season. I want to tell you this, though. If you're holding Simons, I think this is a great time to sell high. I do think that we've probably seen the high watermark for Simons. And while he wins this versus, and I would take Simons over Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey is owned in 20, 22% of leagues or something like that. The number's going up rapidly. It'll be a higher tomorrow. It could be 40% in 2 days. Get Amir Coffey now if you can. Get him off waivers if he's on waivers. Simons is not going to be on waivers. But see what the trade value is for Simons. The reality is CJ comes back. Norm comes back. Portland's offense kind of stabilizes. We're probably not going to see 43, 30, 28-point nights from Simons. Simons wins today. See what you can get in terms of trade value for him. See if you can acquire Amir Coffey. Guys, that'll be it. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more fantasy content. I'm going to do more of these player verses. And so what I want to hear is which guys you would like me to be doing an analysis of. So drop 2 players that you think have interesting things going on. Part of the reason why I picked Simons and Coffey is because these guys have some wild rest of season outlooks as opposed to where they started. Depending on whether or not Dame comes back, CJ plays, the Blazers blow it up. If Paul George comes back, there's all these things that could radically affect their value, and how high or how low they go is just all up in the air. So I'm looking for other players that you guys want to see me do a comparison of. Drop it in the comment section and let me know what you think. Simons or Coffey? Who's the clear winner here? Guys, I'll see you next time. That's the end of this video. Talk to you later. Fantasy Trash Talk out.